Hey, how you doing? It's Labor Day weekend, man. It's August the 30th, Saturday morning, 6:15 in the morning, still dark outside. Thought I'd vent a little bit about what's going on in the world. Center this camera a little better. That's much better. You know, the last time we met, I was ranting about the Peacemaker show and how it is kind of not really that appropriate to take the movie Superman, put Peacemaker in that movie briefly, and take characters from that were in Superman, the Guy Gardner version of Green Lantern, Hawk Girl, uh, Rick Flag Sr., uh, and the dimensional portals idea, and bring them into this Peacemaker TV series on HBO Max. And then the director, James Gunn, said, well, I wanted to make sure that Superman got released digitally and where you could watch it on your TV for people that don't go to movie theaters, which is most people now. People are trying to compare. There's the Zack Snyder people that like the version of Superman with Henry Cavill, and they're fighting against the James Gunn people, and they're saying Man of Steel made more money, but that was before the pandemic, and more people used to go to the theaters. Then, during the pandemic, they started putting out brand new movies right on television, and a lot of people never went back to the theater ever again for whatever reason. It really hurt the movie theater industry. There's just not as many people in theaters, so you really can't compare a movie now with a movie prior to the pandemic. Also, the factor of inflation. I mean, you got to realize Gone with the Wind made more money than any movie in history, but because people paid 25, 35 cents to get into the theater, it's not really comparable. You have to adjust for inflation. But anyway, that's why the biggest movie of all time is always a recent movie. So that's why oh well, who cares about that? Point is, Peacemaker is uh, okay. So you go to see Peacemaker with your family, and now there's a show on television with that character Peacemaker that you saw briefly in the Superman movie, and you tune it in with your family, and at the beginning there's the Superman logo with Superman, the 1938 version of Superman, breaking the chains on his chest, and okay, you're in. It's more DC, and then you get the whenever Green Lantern and Hawk Girl appear, they're talking about some of the crudest stuff that really would only be talked about in an army barracks or a locker room in prior generations. I hear people online saying it's Reddit humor. I've never been on Reddit. I don't think I have. But apparently, Reddit humor is very juvenile, and it's only directed towards certain it's like when left wing people try to be funny in a outrageous way, but they only want to direct it's their version. It's potty humor, I guess that's what it is, and dirty humor, but it's only directed towards. They try to direct their anger only towards Republicans, but they're not funny and it's just juvenile. That's what I guess Reddit humor is. I don't know, but they say James Gunn is like the king of Reddit style humor. But people say they laughed watching Peacemaker. I saw, okay, that's supposed to be funny. Arguing about whether the word Pokemon is plural or singular. It's just, it's like really stupid attempts to simulate the Quentin Tarantino dialogue, which sometimes that will fall flat too. Quentin Tarantino certainly does a better job of that kind of stuff than James Gunn. But anyway, So so then within a few minutes you've got full nudity, uh, horrible, just an unbelievably. It wouldn't even be able to be released as an R-rated movie in theaters. It would get. I would imagine that what I saw on the first episode of season two would be. I don't think they even give NC-17 ratings anymore, but that was the way that Hollywood came up with a way to replace the old X rating that movies like Midnight Cowboy got back in the early 70s. Uh, and then for a while, if your movie was too intense to get an R rating, back in the late 70s, they just released it unrated. And then that would mean that certain newspapers wouldn't run ads for your movie and certain theaters wouldn't run your movie. Dawn of the Dead was released unrated because it was just too gory to be, it was really just gore. I don't even know if there was that much bad language in it, and I don't think there was anything else. It was just a gore fest, which was great. I like that movie. And Peacemaker, it has its own gore fest moments too. But you know something? Uh, there were a lot of kids probably watching Peacemaker last week, and hopefully those parents aren't letting them watch the second episode, which continued on with that sequence with all the nudity. And James Gunn said, I wanted to make sure Superman was released digitally so that people could watch it and then watch Peacemaker. And Peacemaker, they make references, characters make reference to moving to Gotham, to what Lex Luthor was doing recently. So it's very much in that world, and any kid that watches Superman's going to want to watch Peacemaker. And then it's just like, what are you doing? And so I said in the last episode, I think James Gunn should be let go from DC. What they're doing is pretty messed up. And it's why are they letting him do this, man? Why are they letting him destroy something that was once innocent? Superman, Peacemaker was originally a character that started in 1966 in Charlton Comics, created by Joe Gill, and I think Pat Boyette was the artist. It was this guy who was a pacifist, but he wanted to end war and violence, so he had to use guns and stuff to make sure that things could stay peaceful, and that was the premise of the character. Uh, he was a good guy. Charlton went out of business. DC Comics acquired a lot of their heroes that were brought them into the DC universe, put them in their own little pocket. Well, they were an alternate world. DC used to have all these alternate Earths. So they existed on another Earth where, Peacemaker and Blue Beetle, those characters wouldn't interact with Superman. And then they decided to do, in 1988, this big epic, I think, 12-issue series called Crisis on Infinite Earths, where they destroyed every world except for one Earth. And that Earth was going to have all the superheroes on it. Instead of one Earth for the Captain Marvel family, one Earth for the Charlton heroes, one Earth for the modern Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, one Earth for the Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman that were at their prime during World War II and are now older, and has the Justice Society, and then this Earth has the Justice League. It was, other than that, the Earths are kind of similar but different. It was this all. I thought it was wonderful what they did in the Silver Age of comics, having all those different Earths. But they decided this is too complicated. It's too hard to merchandise. We want all the heroes to be together, so they killed off Supergirl. They killed off the Flash. It was a beautifully illustrated and well-written story. I enjoyed reading it, but what it did is destroyed my childhood and the childhood of my older brothers and even my father's childhood as far as reading comic books. Not our whole childhood, but just it's like basically saying, oh, that doesn't exist. This is the way it is now. And then they made Peacemaker into this real violent guy to try to be like, the Punisher and all the violent guys that, they're. And whenever he killed someone, he heard their voice in his head, and his father was a Nazi, and he found out his father had been a Nazi, and his father was talking to him, and his dead father was talking to him inside his helmet, and he was hearing the voices of everyone he had killed, or anyone that just was killed near to him. Their voices were, which I guess that's an interesting idea, but you're changing something created by someone else and turning it dark. And that's what they love to do, right? They like to take Batman and make him dark and say, but he was that way back in 1938. They always say that, and it's bullshit. In 1938, yes, Batman was created and was kind of more like the Shadow and had guns and stuff. And by the time 1940 came along and Robin appeared, Batman was the smiling guy, and Robin was smiling, and they were always smiling, and that was all through the 1940s, all through the 1950s, and into the 60s, and maybe around 1968, 69, they started to make Batman a little darker because the TV show went off the air, and DC made their comic a little bit more silly to match the TV show that was a burlesque of superheroes. Batman was meant to be a comedy. And people don't realize that, 5-year-olds watch it and don't get it. But anyone that's not a moron watches Batman and realizes it's supposed to be funny. In fact, they were originally going to have a laugh track on it. I'm glad they didn't do that, but they originally were. And then that basically tells you don't even have to think, oh, that's the funny part. I better laugh now, because some people don't have any sense of humor and won't laugh unless they hear other people laughing. Because, oh, that's the funny part. I need to laugh now. That's just how it is. I've always kind of hated laugh tracks, but people get confused when there's not a laugh track. There was a great show on television when I was in high school called Police Squad, and it was by the guys that made Airplane, and it was hilarious. It was a parody of 1960s police uh, dramas, right? And it's even started with In Color, Police Squad, and but it was hilarious. But there was no laugh track on it. And it was canceled within, I don't think they even got 10 episodes finished. It's like, how was this canceled? It's one of the greatest things. People loved Airplane in the theaters. Why are they not watching Police Squad? And then a few years, well, let's see, was it a few years later, or was it like over 10 years later, they put out a movie, The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad. And it was Police Squad on the big theater. Somehow, the series that wasn't successful got greenlit to be a movie. And now it was a huge success because people are in a theater and they're hearing the people around them laughing, and then they know when to laugh. The people there's something wrong with, they don't understand humor. So it worked because the laugh track on a comedy is meant to simulate being in a theater, or a Roman theater, or in a theater, watching a play. You hear the audience around you laughing, you have that sense of community. But when you're watching a show on television, you don't hear the laughter. You don't know, is this supposed to be funny? I don't know, man. But when Robin says, gosh, Batman, is there anything you don't know? And Batman says, several things, in fact, Robin. It's like, that's supposed to be funny. Do you need a laugh track to know that's supposed to be funny? Or are you sophisticated enough to hear someone delivering that line so earnest? That's what was funny. He delivers his lines they deliver their lines so earnestly and seriously. Adam West was just, he talked like Clayton Moore in The Lone Ranger. He was so serious, and that's what made it funny. The fact that he's dressed that way and the villain, that's funny. Or usually was. if you play, if you have silly music and you have them talk in a funny way, then it's not funny. You've got it. The Batman music was very serious. The music in Police Squad, they didn't have silly comedic music. It was serious music like you'd hear in a like Lalo Schifrin kind of serious. That's what makes it funny. That's why Airplane worked. They weren't like winking at that was but to be funny. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going with this rant. So I'm talking. Where am I at? I hear there's a new Naked Gun movie out that's good with Liam Neeson. I haven't seen it. I think it's playing at the theater next week, so maybe I'll try to go see that. Okay, so where was I? I need to reel back to see what I was talking about. Peacemaker um, was bait and switch. You're bringing kids in that seen Superman. Oh, and also Creature Commandos introduces this country called Baravia. And then Baravia is a big thing in the Superman movie. So it's not just that Peacemaker is a problem, that Creature Commandos cartoon also is a problem. Now you say, well, James Gunn has a right to make adult shows and children's shows. Why can't he as a filmmaker do both? Yeah, that's fine. But don't connect them. Don't have arrows that go from Creature Commandos to Superman to Peacemaker, meaning, oh, that's the order you're supposed to watch them in. Because, like Bob Clark, the filmmaker Bob Clark that made A Christmas Story, I always joke that when your family gets together for Thanksgiving or Christmas and you watch A Christmas Story, you should suggest, hey, that movie's so great. Why don't we have a Bob Clark film festival? Let's stream some Bob Clark movies, and then we'll watch Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, and we'll watch Porky's and Porky's 2. And what else did he make? Death Dream. Did he make that? Did he make Deranged about Ed Gein? I think they changed his name. I think he made Deranged. But anyway, all his other movies, except for A Christmas Story, are not family appropriate. But there is Christmas Story stands alone. It doesn't direct you to. It doesn't make references to Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things or Porkies. Now, A Christmas Story takes place in the 1930s, right? So what if you had a grown-up Ralphie as a young new teacher at the high school in Porky's? And then you would be able to say, oh, look, that's Ralphie from A Christmas Story. Now he's a teacher in this movie Porky's. That would be wrong because A Christmas Story is watched by families and children. And if you don't realize it's wrong, there's something wrong with you, to be honest with you. Uh, you need to rethink the way the world works. You don't. That's just not right. But he didn't do that. Still talking about James Gunn. So Bob Clark makes his adult movies, makes a movie that's meant for everybody. That's fine with me. John Waters makes movies that are extreme, and then he makes Hairspray. I'm not talking about the one with Ricky Lake and the musical. I'm talking about the real Hairspray. That movie almost completely, I I would say almost complete. No problem showing that to kids. Kids love that movie. It's a great movie about a dance show in Baltimore in 1960, 62, I think, probably about 62. Now, before I said, well, he does have Divine playing the mother of. Wait a second. What did I just say? It is the one with Ricky Lake. I'm sorry. It is the good Hairspray is the one with Ricky Lake and Divine in it. I don't know who played in the bad Hairspray, but John Waters didn't direct that. That was done years later because they made a Broadway play, and then I think John Travolta played the role that Divine played in the good Hairspray. So let me completely revise. I'm not gonna. I almost feel like starting the episode over saying that horrible thing. The good movie has Ricky Lake in it. That's the good one. It has the great music, the great dances. John Waters is someone that, like me, that hates the world of today and loves the music and all of that and dances of the past. So he made a movie to show how wonderful things were. And that's what he did. And much like American Graffiti does the same thing. And some movies will show you the wonders of the past and they'll recreate it. But I guess because John Waters is playing a woman, that might, maybe, I don't know, but maybe there are people that say, well, that movie's so good, let's watch these other John Waters movies. I don't know that anyone's ever done that, but I never had trouble with James Gunn. Okay, you made the movie Super. I thought the movie was great. It was a super violent superhero comedy. He did that early in his career. He made movies for Troma. I never saw I think he did Tromeo and Juliet. I never saw that. But they weren't connected. Once you start connecting them together, that's when it gets to be wrong. And it's like, why are we being subjected to this perversion, to this level of? It's like, what is going on? And you may be an atheist, you may be agnostic, but I choose not to be that. And I believe that there are powers and principalities out there, and they're working real hard, double time right now, to bring us down. Because and there are people fighting against them, and more people are becoming aware of the demonic forces out there. And when people see the videos of this kid the other day that did that horrible thing, and he's stroking his weapons, going, "Oh, my precious," and and all this, they say, "Oh, he's just acting like Golem in Lord of the Rings." That's not. No, it's the when demons manifest, or certain demons, they do what you saw in The Exorcist, the way the girl talked and the way that guy talked in the videos he made before he went off and did his atrocious act. That's demons coming from. Yeah, they're just mentally ill. There's no such thing as demons. Well, you believe what you want to believe, but eventually you're going to realize that we're being everyone's being subjected to this, and we got this TikTok coming from China. And TikTok in China, well, it's all videos about how to do algebra and how to be, a good citizen. And here it's just the most perverted, vile stuff, aimed at kids, teaching them atrocious things. It's uh, it's a propaganda. It's really a war is happening and you don't even realize it, and it's happening without shots being fired through these phones, through some people walking around hypnotized, staring at their phones. I'm old enough to remember people on dates not staring at their phones, people not walking around in malls, bumping into things, staring at their phones. It's just like a Living Dead movie, watching people walk around with their phones. And we're all addicted to these phones, honestly, and they're destroying our eyes and our minds. And then I remembered, John Cena, the star of this Peacemaker. I remembered, didn't he apologize to China? And I remembered, Oh yeah, he made some stupid Fast. I've never seen a Fast and the Furious movie. I've seen the real one from the 1950s. There was a black and white movie called The Fast and the Furious. It's about guys racing cars in the 50s. But these modern ones that started in the 90s or early 2000s, that I've never seen any. Maybe some of them are good. I just figure they're it's like I'm about as excited about watching a Fast and the Furious movie as I would be about listening to gangster rap. It seems like it appeals to the same kind of demographic. Space Ghost, wonderful cartoon. Uh, so, uh, yeah, it's like John Cena was on a press tour, press junket for Fast and the Furious, and he made some. He was, I guess, he was in Taiwan, and he referred to Taiwan as a country, and which China does not consider Taiwan to be a separate country. Taiwan says, "Hey, man, we're our own country," but China does not acknowledge that. So he realized, oh boy, did I screw up, because China's the biggest. That's where most of the money comes from for Hollywood. You know, they have the biggest audience to watch movies now, and he came on in perfect, what I assume is perfect Mandarin. It may not sound that way to some native Chinese person, but I think Mandarin is the more elite language in China. That's what the rich people speak. I could be wrong. I just know when I used to watch, for a while, I was, when we collect things, we get in different phases. It's like, for a while, I'm really excited about this band. For a while, I'm really excited about this type of movie. For a while, I was early 2000s, I was like seeking out all of these Chinese, these Hong Kong martial arts movies. I have whole shelves of these DVDs for that time period that I was really into them. And then I don't know, I got distracted by some other shining object and went off after that. But I remember they would have the subtitles in two different types of Chinese. There was Mandarin, and there was, I don't know, Kakachuan, or there was some other thing. Two different, and I realized, oh, they speak two different languages in China. So that's about all I know. I'm don't come here looking for profound and intellectual discussions. But anyway, he's speaking in Mandarin. He says, he's in Mandarin, but it's got English subtitles. I am so, so sorry. I made a big mistake. It was a terrible mistake that I made. I was talking about my new movie, Fast and the Furious 9, and I made a big, big mistake. He's like near tears because he realizes my whole career is about to be gone because I said Taiwan's a country, which, if you look it up, it says it's a country on the internet. But you don't want to say that. You don't want the Chinese, because the Chinese masters. It's like the Manchurian Candidate. So you wonder, well, how many of these people have taken big payoffs from China to destroy the morality and the fighting spirit and the intelligence of the Americans, to make us stupider, weaker, more perverse? How many is James Gunn on the Chinese payroll? Obviously, John Cena is. Who else is? That's hurting us and hurting your children. Who else is? Well, it seems like there's a stealthy, secret communist revolution going on, and you see it, and you've seen, Saturday morning back when you were a kid, you saw those McDonald Land commercials, and you had the Grimace and little French fries singing, and this idiot clown, and it was all wonderful. The Hamburglar, Mayor McCheese had a cheeseburger head, fantastic. You don't see that anymore. McDonald's now is a box. It looks like a prison. It looks like a generic Saturnian box. And then across the street, Jack in the Box is also a box. Well, I guess it's appropriate. That's supposed to be a box. It used to have a clown coming out of it. They took that away. Well, over here, KFC, which used to be Kentucky Fried Chicken, looks like a box. None of the distinctive architecture that I remember from when I was a kid. Why does everything have to look ugly? And then everyone's starting to notice it now with the Cracker Barrel thing. They just want everything to look ugly and generic and take away the history and get rid of that old man. Why don't you want an old man on there? It's the cousin of the founder of the restaurant. Well, not the cousin, or maybe some. I mean, it's important to the history of the restaurant. I never really liked Cracker Barrel, to be honest with you. Their store in the front was kind of good, kind of like reminded me of the old Stuckey's. Stuckey's was a roadside pizza place, as I recall. When I was a kid, we'd stop there sometimes on road trips, and you'd have to go through the store before you got back to the area where you'd eat. And there'd be all this wonderful stuff, rubber bats, all this magic shop kind of joke. Remember the little bird that was filled with the red fluid? I hope it wasn't mercury that would go, because I broke a couple of them. They would dip down in the water with their bill, and they'd come up, and it would just perpetual motion. You never see those anymore, man. What happened to them? Why aren't they in the dollar stores? But anyway, all this Cracker Barrel controversy, they've gone back on that. The lady that got in charge of the Cracker Barrel was one of these, had these big, thick glasses like Rachel Maddow's. These left-wing people want them. What they want to do is bring down our society, destroy everything, and remake everything in this new communist, ugly, Stalin-esque kind of looking thing. And it's like everything that I've loved as a kid has been destroyed at this point. So I create my own world here and surround myself with things I love, with cartoons, with music, old music. There's some great new music, not much. Everyone's excited about what's her face, Taylor Swift getting married to Travis Wammack, or what? Travis Kelso. Travis Wammack's a great guitar guy from the '60s. Sorry, I don't even know. I don't know. I think I've heard a couple of Taylor Swift songs. They seem like nothing remarkable to me. I don't know why she's an ultra billionaire. Why wasn't Olivia Newton-John an ultra billionaire? She's, to me, she's far superior. But anyway, I don't make these decisions. Everyone's influenced by what they're told. They're told to like things on TikTok, and then they said, "Well, that's what everybody's liking, so I guess I'd better like it because I want to be a regular person like them. I want to be cool." Just like the laugh track. Oh, everyone's laughing? Well, I better laugh too. I don't want to be left out. I want to be a normal, good person. Well, I hear people on YouTube saying, "Oh, I love the premiere of Peacemaker Season 2." But I also am hearing more and more people after I did my last show talking about how it's grooming and how it's wrong, and that he should be fired. There are people that have common sense that realizes you just don't put that kind of stuff into a show based on a comic book that was created by Charlton Comics to sell to 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds. Peacemaker back in the mid 60s when he first appeared in the Fightin' Five. You make your own new characters that, like he did in Super. Make your own superhero and have him go around hit people on the head with wrenches. That was his power. You hit people with a wrench. That was funny. But don't do it to Peacemaker. I don't want to. I don't know. Just, it's crazy. So, I made a couple of notes here. I just scribbled a few notes. Okay, so I talked about the boxes, the box restaurants. Everything I love. Okay, well, let's see. What did I write down here? Marvel Comics. Well, I love Marvel Comics. Man, when I was in third grade, about 1973, 74, 75, wow. And before that, in the earlier 70s, 72, I was loving those monster comics. Then I discovered the Fantastic Four right as 73 turns into 74. And then I'm just in love with this stuff. And then reading the old stuff from the 60s in reprint form. Oh, it was so great. By the late 70s, it just seemed like things started to fall apart a little bit. And these stories weren't quite as good. And then I was hearing this hype in the bullpen page about the Spider Man and Hulk TV series. And then I tuned them in, and the Spider Man show's like nothing like the comic. The Hulk show was okay, but it wasn't the Hulk. It was more the fugitive. Who imagine the fugitive turns into a green guy for a little bit for 5 minutes at the end of the show. Uh, I don't know. It just seems like things got weak, and then they started doing all this commercial stuff where they were adapting other properties. They were they started the Human Fly, who was some stunt man that climbed buildings in New York. They thought he'd be a good hero, and they started doing all these comics based on toys. And I think by the mid '80s, when they did Secret Wars just to sell a bunch of toys, I it's like, yeah. DC Comics destroyed themselves with the Crisis on Infinite Earth. So they were making some great Marvel movies there. Iron Man was great, and for a good, I think, over 10 years, was it? They were making really fun movies. Uh, Captain America Winter Soldier and Captain America Civil War. Man, I was having fun. The Avengers movie. And then things just got really crappy. Oh, since I last saw you, I saw the Fantastic Four movie. So I should give you a review of that. At first, at the beginning, it was like, man, this is kind of neat. They're making references to the Red Ghost, and they're showing the Mole Man, and they're showing the front cover of Fantastic Four #1 with the monsters coming through the street. And that's kind of neat. Will the whole movie be like this? And it just ultimately, it just kind of it was weak. I don't want to knock someone's looks, but the lady playing Sue Storm uh, uh, was I just don't think she was. I don't think she was that attractive. Just like that Lois Lane that was in the Henry Cavill movies. I didn't think much of Amy Adams was. I don't know. I mean, I guess they're pretty women, but Sue Storm, the way Jack Kirby drew her, and also they try to make all the extras in the background look 1960s in this Fantastic Four movie, but they don't do that with Sue Storm and have her hair in a flip. Here, that was Sue Storm to me. The hair would go like that, and it's not that way. And the first scene in the movie is Sue Storm's, I guess Susan Richards, is on the toilet looking at a little test to see if she's pregnant. That's how you're going to start your movie, having her sitting on a toilet? Uh, and the guy that played Reed Richards, what's his face? Pedro Pascal. He just seemed confused most of the time. He barely used his powers. He barely could stretch. He didn't stretch very far. Galactus, well, he kind of looked like Galactus. He didn't really seem to be as verbose. Galactus spouted off all this biblical dialogue, and in the comic was great in that. Oh, they left out the Watcher. That was a big part of the suspense building up in the Galactus trilogy. Is the Watcher was not supposed to interfere with, he was just supposed to watch. And by the way, watch, all of this is biblical. The Watcher angels are in the Bible, and you know, Stan Lee told Kirby, "Let's have the Fantastic Four fight God," and so Kirby went off and created this, and put in Lucifer and everything and have him fall and fight against God and to help the people and all this stuff. And it was put into the comic book. And then Jack Kirby brought the pages back to Stan Lee and he says, "Well, who's this guy flying around on a surfboard?" And he says, "Well, that's the fallen angel, Lucifer," basically. I don't know if he said that, but anyone that's read the Bible knows. Okay, Lucifer was supposedly was fighting against God, who was Galactus, and then he was cast down. And remember when Silver Surfer fought against Galactus, he said, "You're not going to be able to leave Earth anymore." And of course, in the Bible, the Satan was, or Lucifer, whatever you want to call it, was given the domain of the earth. So, at least for a while. And right now, that's what's happening. We're under a demonic assault, and there are people fighting against it, and they're fighting quite admirably. And ultimately, God is going to win. But that's basically. But anyway, they made Silver Surfer female. Uh, I don't know any particular reason why. As I recall, the Silver Surfer bonded with Sue Storm. I don't. Were Sue and Reed married during the when Galactus first appeared in the comic? I don't think they were. But anyway, she bonded with the Silver Surfer. He learned that humans were good, and so I think what they're trying to do by making her a girl is have the Human Torch bond with her. I don't know. I fell asleep a lot during the movie because I'm getting old and I was really tired. I just kept nodding off. And I was nodding off through the part that's supposed to be. There wasn't a lot of excitement in the movie. It was really kind of boring. It had a lot of great look. It looked good, with all the 1960s, mid-century 1950s kind of technology, looking like what did people in 1965 think the future would look like? And I thought, are they going to have the big giant screen that Reed Richards is always looking at to see the negative zone? And they did have a variation of that. I didn't see that in the trailers, so I was pleased with that. But ultimately, it just didn't work. And the other thing that was exciting is that in the comic book was it was such a crisis, when the Silver Surfer finally broke through and found that the Watcher tried to hide the Earth with flame and with rocks, so the Silver Surfer wouldn't see that there was this rich world there that could feed Galactus. Silver Surfer comes through, and they're having to scramble, and Reed Richards is concentrating on what can I, and he starts to grow a beard, and so you see Reed Richards and he's unshaven. You realize, oh, this really is big time because I've never seen Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, not shaven before. Of course, in this movie, the stupid actor has got a beard, kind of one, and so there's no way to communicate that. So they have the Thing grow a beard, which I've never seen. Apparently, they've done that in a comic at some point, but not. That's not something Kirby came up with, so I don't accept it in my world. That's some they create. It's like in the Superman movie, Metamorpho has a baby. He didn't have a baby in the 1960s. Those are the comics I accept. He got a baby in the 1990s. I don't care what happened in the 1990s. Those weren't even real comics. That was a bunch of shit. I uh I and I love the Superman movie, but then the more I think about the Superman movie, because now I kind of want to hate James Gunn because of what he did with this Peacemaker orgy. And I think back to Superman and I think, well, there was a lot of bad mistakes in that movie that I forgave him for. And then I said, to people here online, I'd give that movie a 10 out of 10. I love that movie. And now I realize there was a lot of stuff that really he shouldn't have, that was not done right. He did a lot of stuff right, more stuff right than he did wrong. So I gave him a pass. But Yeah, I think the average person that goes to see the Superman movie is not going to understand. Metamorpho comes out of nowhere, no explanation. I understood it. Uh, I honestly, it was kind of funny, but I would have had Crypto portrayed a little bit more nobly, instead of just a crazy, dumb shit dog. I would You could have the dog still do some crazy shit and still be too hyper, but Crypto was an intelligent dog. I mean, he used to talk to us in the comics. You would be him thinking, but you'd see he speaks in his mind. He's thinking in complete English sentences. He's actually really smart. That's the Crypto I remember. And I'm not the first one to point this out. I heard them talking about it last Saturday morning. Metamorpho is kind of a pussy. They didn't use that word, but I'll use that word, and not too smart. He's like, oh yeah, that is a good idea to call ourselves the Justice Gang. Also a stupid mistake, Justice Gang. First of all, why is Guy Gardner and Hawk Girl, why are they the founders of the Justice League? That's ridiculous. And it should be the Justice League of America. I'm sure they won't call it that in the James Gunn movies. Why is Guy Gardner introduced before Hal Jordan? And where is Hawkman? And I don't even know who this version of Hawk Girl is. I mean, I kind of liked her character in Superman, not so much uh, in the Peacemaker, because all they're doing is talking about perverse stuff. And uh, what else was shitty? Lex Luthor. I watching the movie, I thought, man, okay, this Lex Luthor is really someone you just want. I mean, when he Superman came in and said, what did you do with my dog? And he seems like such an asshole. You want to smack Lex Luthor right out that window. You just hate the guy. He's like everyone you hated in school. But then you think more and more, wouldn't Lex Luthor be more interesting instead of just being this ultra evil? Why not make him uh, why not give him a reason for hating Superman? The comics, it was because he lost his hair, and that was Superman's fault. But um, because a villain is more interesting. Usually, villains, although not when they're inhabited by demons, like the guy that did that 22-year-old kid that did all that horrible stuff the other day at that Catholic church or school. That kid was inhabited by demons, so he just wanted to do evil and bad. But if someone's not inhabited by demons and they're doing bad things, usually they think they're doing good. Um, and that's what makes a villain interesting, because they're like the way that the Magneto character was portrayed in the X-Men movies. Um, I thought that was fascinating. It's not just this is the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. And they didn't use the word evil. We're the Brotherhood of Mutants. I think Stan Lee used evil because that's what in the DC comic Doom Patrol, there was the Brotherhood of Evil, so he changed it to Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, as I recall. But bad guys in history, I don't the ones that are in the history books that are portrayed as that did bad things, they thought they were doing good things for their country. They thought they were the good guy. And I think it's fascinating to look at a bad guy and you realize that bad guy thinks they're the good guy. He just thought he was helping out the other mutants, and that, but they needed to do it with more violence than the way Professor X looked at it. It was, but I would have toned down that with Jimmy Olsen. I'm glad to see Jimmy Olsen have a role in a Superman movie, other than just being there in the. But making him this promiscuous guy, I mean, I guess it was fun. It was just kind of like, I don't know. That's not Jimmy Olsen. I liked the portrayal of Superman. I liked the actress that played Lois Lane. I thought Mr. Terrific was great. I don't know anything about this variation of Mr. Terrific. Never seen him in it. I've seen him. I know he exists in the comics, but I just remember the Mr. Terrific from the All Star comics in the 1940s. It was a completely different character, but he was cool in the movie. You have to have this all this Baravia stuff that comes from Creature Commandos. The leader of Baravia looked ridiculous. I'm just thinking back now on all the shit that was in Superman that I chose to ignore at the time. The fact that he uses, oh yeah, Lois Lane is a punk rocker, and but I was about to say Christopher Reeve, the actor David Cornsweet that plays Superman. He's saying, well, I listen to punk rock too, Lois. And I like this shitty band that James Gunn invented. Uh, and then Lois Lane says, that's not real punk rock. So where is it's just James Gunn's wanting to put his little stuff into Superman. Uh, I I don't know. He says punk rock was about kindness. That's not what punk rock was about. That's him saying being a Democrat is about being kind. We're kind. We let people come into the country. We're kind. We make sure that we're treating every, you know, he's knocking Republicans. Republicans aren't punk rockers. We Democrats are the cool, kind punk rockers. That's what he's saying. And I love punk rock music, but it was never really about kind. Show me the punk rock song that was about kindness. You know, it's just like Jackie DeShannon's song. Put a little love in your heart. Yeah, that's punk rock. It's not what I remember from punk rock. Uh, I don't know. I had the same experience, man. I love Star Wars so much, and The Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi was kind of weak, but I still loved it. I didn't like that they brought the Death Star back. Come up with a new thing. Empire Strikes Back, you had all this new stuff, the Imperial Walkers and everything, and you're just going to give us the attack of the Death Star again instead of something new. And except, well, I wasn't able to do it the way I wanted to do it in the first movie, so I thought I'd do it again. Please. Uh, well, I wait for years, and it's like, well, they didn't make it. We're not going to make any more Star Wars movies. Those actors aren't getting any younger. And finally, well, we're going to make a new Star Wars movie. I get all excited. I even went to see. I hate Adam Sandler with a passion. I went to an Adam Sandler movie just to see the trailer for the Phantom Menace. I'd read about it on Ain't It Cool News on the internet, you know, which was a new thing. As the new movie's going to be called The Phantom Menace. Oh, that sounds like an old movie serial. That's great. And so I go to see The Phantom Menace, right? And I come out and I say, oh well, I loved it. I had to say it because my mind couldn't accept. Well, movie, I don't know. But it's Star Wars. It would be blasphemous to say I didn't love it. And I said that, I said, yeah, it's really good to a friend of mine on the phone. He says, are you okay? And I realized that, and I realized, oh, he's right. It was like I was being deprogrammed from a cult. That really wasn't good. It really didn't even make any sense. Why, first of all, why do I want to see the background of Darth Vader? I never wanted to see that. I won't go forward with the story. Why are you going backwards? I don't want to see the obnoxious little kid's a bad actor. All this stuff with the trade alliance and all. Oh, the people of Tatooine were all slaves originally. They're what? I didn't get that impression out of the original Star Wars. And this Jar Jar Binks, it's all just, it was really pretty bad. And I couldn't accept it. I watched Superman and I really loved it. I'm just wondering, am I going to realize in a month or two, no, that really wasn't good. I don't know. I really, had a much better time watching Superman than I did the Phantom Menace. But and I always and I wanted to like James Gunn so much. Now I'm starting to hate the guy, man, because it's what he's doing is just so vile and horrible. But George Lucas is another person that changed. You know, he made these great movies, then he starts, no, I've got to change all my old movies. The effects aren't good enough. I've got to make them digital. And now you made them digital, and now they look shitty now because 20 years have passed. And so what are you going to do now to them? Instead of leaving the original models in there. Same thing happened with Star Trek. I want to see Star Trek the way it looked on NBC from 66 to 69. I don't want to see everything changed. Oh, well, we didn't have the money at the time, so we need to go back in and fix that matte line. We were going to take out all the shots of the spaceship, put them in digital. Just the same thing in Star Wars. I hated that. Gene Roddenberry, when I was in third and fourth grade, I thought, this guy's a genius. Created Star Trek, and I realized, man, this guy's kind of an asshole, cheating on his wife with Nichelle Nichols. Uh, his philosophy is kind of not good. The whole idea of Star Trek about a one world government, which is what the bad guys wanted, is never gonna. It can never work, unfortunately, because Satan's in charge of the world, and people just can never. It's just never gonna. All the countries are never gonna come together and be all united and get out there. It's just. I just don't think it's gonna. Maybe when Christ comes back, maybe people will change. But right now, I just don't think it's part of human nature for everyone to get. I wish, I could sing Kumbaya and all you need is love, but I don't think, I think human beings are fallen basically because of the Garden of Eden, and I don't think there's a lot of bad people that, well, who cares? Oh, well, Gene Roddenberry brought Star Trek back with this non-violent PC, where the original Star Trek was fights and monsters, and the women all had giant hair and mini skirts, and it's like, oh, well, we'll bring back Star Trek, but all the women will have pantsuits and they'll all be ugly, and there won't be any action on the show. They'll just do a lot of talking. If anything action happens, it won't be real. It'll be on the holodeck where it's just fantasy in their heads, and I don't know. It's just Gene Roddenberry, George Lucas. I talked about Batman, right? How Batman was this great thing, I think. And now everyone thinks Batman's this dark guy. He wears a black suit. He never wore a black suit. That was something Tim Burton did in the 1989 movie. Tim Burton, who didn't understand Batman. Oh, he was going to make a terrible Superman movie with Nicolas Cage. Boy, that looked like that was going to be a complete, that was definitely going to be a complete piece of shit. I'm just realizing I'm wearing a Grinch shirt. I just happened to throw this on. And I'm being like the Grinch, shitting on everything you love. The Batman movie, I loved it when it came out, and everything. I still like the movie. But it changed a lot of people's perceptions of what Batman is. And Tim Burton is another guy that changed, just like Lucas and Roddenberry, or maybe they never changed, but, it's hard to believe that George Lucas made American Graffiti. The same Lucas that made American Graffiti made The Phantom Menace, because American Graffiti was a great movie. Star Wars was a great movie. He didn't make Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi, but the guy that made Star Wars and American Graffiti made The Phantom Menace. Like, wow. But Tim Burton started off great too, with Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That was fantastic. I love Batman. What else did he do? Edward Scissorhands was great. Ed Wood was fantastic. That's like his masterpiece. But now he's just cranking out crap. In this Wednesday series, the Addams Family, they created their own world. And that's what I try to do. I try to live like Gomez and live with my cool stuff around me. And But this Tim Burton's version of the Addams Family that is on display in this Wednesday TV series, that's not my Addams Family. It's this Wednesday series. I guess it's kind of like Harry Potter meets the X-Men, the school that Wednesday goes to. They're all like different kinds of monsters. They're the werewolves, and these people are the, I don't know. Then these people, they're different kinds of weird creatures. There's zombie. It's like that's not the Addams Family. The Addams Family were just a family of weird beatnik kind of. I think Morticia might have been supposed to have been a witch, but they weren't supernatural. That was never really a supernatural element in the Addams Family. What else, man? Yeah. Oh, Planet of the Apes. Boy, that's another thing from my childhood. Everything from my like the theme of this, everything from my childhood's been kind of ruined. Planet of the Apes, those movies were great. Battle for the Planet of the Apes was kind of weak. TV series, the live action TV series is weak. There was a Saturday morning cartoon. Now they've got these new Planet of the Apes movies. I couldn't. I saw one about a year or two ago. I don't know, man. Just how about Archie, man? Archie comics. I've got that written down. I always loved Archie. I really did. But they have to bring everything that's good and nice down. There was a TV series, I don't know if it's on the CW channel, called Riverdale. And a lot of the people, a lot of kids that watch it had no idea it was based on old comic books. Just like there were a lot of kids that watched Smallville and they had no idea that that was supposed to be Superman because they don't even really know what Superman is. A lot of people under the age of 25 have, or, or, or just have no idea who Superman is. Or actually, Smallville was before Zack Snyder started doing those movies. There's probably more awareness now of Superman. But yeah, just the fact that this character is called Clark Kent, they don't know Clark Kent's Superman. They just thought, oh, this teenager is from outer space, and he's in this. They just didn't know. Um, oh, Smallville had a good Lex Luthor. At least I watched the first few years. I didn't watch the whole series, but I remember Lex Luthor that was great because you were seeing he had good in him. I just don't think anyone's completely evil. And these people that are possessed by demons and seem completely evil, they're not completely evil. If you could get the demons out of them, then you'd see there's still a good person there. I don't think any person's completely bad. There's good in everyone. So I think that's important to show. Because when you show the villain as completely bad, twirling their mustache, it becomes less interesting. Um, oh yeah, well Riverdale, the TV show. It Now Archie always had this teacher named Miss Grundy. Well, they show him having an affair with Miss Grundy, who's much younger. That's really what they put on television. Archie, a comic character that's been around since what 1940. They did that, and but they have to bring everything down into the toilet, into the trash. Um, but now people are becoming aware of it more through this Cracker Barrel controversy, and they see it around them. They see everything has to be brought down to the base, most vile level. They want to destroy all our history. They want to make all the architecture ugly. It's all part of bringing us down, making us depressed, making us less. And they're doing it through our food too. And it's all a way of conquering a people without having to send an army in across the ocean, without having to fire a single shot. You could bring down the enemy demoralize them psychologically from within. And you can pay off a lot of weak people that only care about money, that have no patriotism, no love for their country. You can pay them off to help with the spread of degeneracy, which is continuing, and it's all part of what's going on. So, is all of this that we're being subjected to because of China? I don't know, maybe to a certain degree. Is it demonic? I think so. Um, but whatever you want to. Oh, also, the other thing that I think a lot of people didn't like about the Superman movie was making Superman's real parents, Jor-El and Lara, into bad people. That's not who they were. This whole thing about Superman having access to his father and tapes of his father and mother, that wasn't in the comics. That came from the 1978 Superman movie, where Marlon Brando was paid like a lot of money. I think it was $1 million, but that was a lot of money in 1978 or 77, 76 when they were filming it. It came out in 78, Christmas of 78. So they wanted to give him more screen time. So he sent these crystals with him talking or all the knowledge of Krypton. And then in the Superman movie, he has this crystal fortress of solitude, and he has crystals, he puts them in. And I think that what we were supposed to see is that Superman spent about 10 years when he left Smallville in the Fortress of Solitude learning all this stuff. Time had passed, and then you see him fly off from the Fortress of Solitude. So he's probably from about age 18 to 28, he's learning all this stuff. It's kind of a, all of this was always meant to be a biblical, Superman being sent, just like the baby Moses down the river, and the fact that his name is Kal-El, and Elohim, El is a word for God. That was always there, but in the Superman movie, they made it more. It's like, I send you my only begotten son. He was very, very biblical. And in the Silver Age, there were times when Superman met his father in some, fantasy story where he goes back to Krypton or through time and stuff like that. But it was never that. Oh, and that's the other thing about this, the idea of the Fortress of Solitude being made of crystals comes from the 1978 movie, the Richard Donner movie. And James Gunn does that with his new movie. Now, having there be a big door with a keyhole and the giant key that you use to open, that's the Silver Age. That was the cool thing. James Gunn tries to combine the two and have a crystal Fortress of Solitude, but with a big door with a Superman symbol, that you've got to have Kryptonian DNA in order to get into that Fortress of Solitude. But the Fortress of Solitude in 1978, the big giant crystal structure, was far more spectacular. It looks like the Fortress of Solitude is really small in the James Gunn movie. It looks like a Temu version of the one in 78. So that's something I noticed, is the Fortress of Solitude looked like it's a trailer park version of the one that Christopher Reeve had. And I love the Superman robots. That was a good thing. There were a lot of good stuff in it, man. But now I'm all conflicted because of what James Gunn's having to do. What else was it? Oh, and using the John Williams Superman movie, or little bits, using the John Williams Superman music or bits of it in the James Gunn movie. He didn't use the full theme. But to me, that's kind of cheating. I mean, I don't mind it, but don't. I mean, you can use that as the theme song, just like the James Bond themes used for all the different James Bonds, and that's great. But play the whole music, and then don't play the whole theme. But you need sometimes you can use music and cheat because that's what you use music. That's what a lot of Hollywood does. You get old songs from the 60s or the 50s or the 70s that people have emotional attachments to, and you play it in the background of your movie, and then all the wonderful nostalgic feeling that people have hearing that song all their lives is attached to your movie. You're stealing something from someone else. And James Gunn likes to use a lot of pop music, rock music from the past. He did that in Guardians of the Galaxy, and those songs come on, and it grabs you like when oh, that's another director that went bad. What's his name? Taika Waititi or something. I thought Thor Ragnarok was great. And when they played the Led Zeppelin song while he's fighting a dragon, I thought that was pretty great. And then he does Thor Love and Thunder. That was a piece of shit. Why do these directors like turn out one good movie and then the next one's crap? Same thing with that lady that did the Wonder Woman movie, the second one that was set in the 70s was atrocious mess. Hold on a second. Probably the most interesting thing about today's show is you've been watching my hair dry during the show. I was just out of the shower when I started the show, and then my hair was drying. I realized I better go brush my hair. That's where I just went. Um, I should just I should do a show where I just paint a wall and just film it drying. Um, well, I'm standing up now and walking around. I'll show you things that I've acquired, which is nothing too spectacular. Well, I moved Big Lou over here. That's something I did. I think I showed that I put these Migos here. That's not all my Migos, but what else have I done lately that's fascinating? Um, oh, a friend came by a few days ago. This friend is actually painting the house. He's going to come back a couple of weeks and do a little bit more, but painting the outside of the house. But he brought me this. He he was at a what do you call it, pawn shop, and the pawn shop has records, and he knows I like Betty Page, so he got this record for me. I didn't have the heart to tell him I already have this record, but it's okay. This is it's always good to have another copy. Whenever you see Betty Page as a jungle girl, or whenever you see her on the beach, those photographs are taken by Bunny Yeager, who was a photographer in Florida. They were all done in Florida. There was one of those wildlife parks down there in Florida, and then they'd go to the beach. Anyway, Bunny Yeager was also, she took pictures of herself. She was also a pinup model and a photographer, Bunny Yeager. I'm sure that Bunny's not her real name, but could be, I guess. Oh, that's another thing they did in Peacemaker. They took a character, I think called, I don't know if she's called the Blue Bunny or something, some bunny character that they put in the Batman comic, and they ridicule her in the Peacemaker show. I don't know anything about that character, honestly. Well, here's the cats. There's Ambrose, there's Alan, and over here, that's Callie the cat. And they like to be out here on the porch enjoying the sun. Weather's getting a little cooler as we move into fall. Um, and there's Drew the dog sleeping. We've got the Christmas tree up because it's Christmas time. Anyway, the whole point of today's show is just to talk about how things have degenerated since I was a kid, I guess my premise is that it's all part of a plan. It's not just the natural law of entropy. I think it is actually by design through cosmic forces, demonic, whatever. People were, maybe it's the end times, I don't know, but things are getting bad. But, okay, down here in the basement, below the Hotel Orloff, I think I bought a few things last weekend at the dollar store that, I got to replace a light bulb. Look at this. This is a burned out light bulb here, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, definitely burned out. This is where I film my radio show. See, I'm going to put a radio here on this stool, and I'll probably do one on Labor Day or soon. And I've got, here's some of the new stuff I purchased. Did you know that somehow Jim Henson, it's amazing because Jim Henson's not alive, but I guess his family, excuse me. I didn't realize that was in there. It almost broke, ladies and gentlemen. I bought this snake venom. How about that? At the dollar store, Dollar Tree. I just damaged this box. It was in mint condition. Anyway, Jim Henson's family, whatever, must be behind this. I don't know if they're going to make commercials with the... This year, they bring back Count Chocula, and now he's a Muppet. Very strange. The Muppets were a big part of my childhood, and so was Count Chocula, and now... When I almost dropped that snake venom, I damaged the box. Look what I did. I crushed it. So, I guess those are the other monsters. That looks like Godzilla a little bit. There's the three of them. They didn't have any Frankenberry at the store. Anyway, how about that? Highly collectible, but now damaged, no longer in 9.8 condition. Here's Booberry. How about that? Kevin Johnson at Gotham City Comics was telling me that the monster cereals were coming back as Muppets, and I thought, what are you talking about? How is that even possible? Okay. I also bought this. How about that? $1. I know it's stupid, but when there's no other stores in your town except for a Dollar General, you'll buy anything. And look, as if to taunt me, sitting here on the pinball machine are Guardians of the Galaxy school folders. Oh. These were cool movies. Man, why did you have to be such a bastard, James Gunn? Why did you have to change? Like, and I'm watching Peacemaker. I'm interested to see where the storyline goes with him going into this other dimension where his father is not quite as much of an asshole, and his brother is still alive. To me, that could be interesting. But I have to get another light bulb. That's one thing I've got to do. Well, that's my haul. I bought 2 boxes of cereal, some snake venom. Oh, here's some dog food. I didn't realize that was here. I need to take this upstairs because it's... Anyway, so let's... there's Kelly the cat. Oh, I also got this. I never was. The He-Man stuff came out when I was already in college, so that was not part of my childhood. Although I did look at those figures when they were on sale at KB Toys and think, man, these are pretty well designed. Man, look at that shadow. Am I really that much of a hunchback? I better stand up straight. Because look at that. I look like, ooh, what the hell? Is it that bad? The shadow. Is this how I'm supposed to stand? Because that shadow isn't as embarrassing as this. Oh my God. No wonder I have back problems. Holy crap. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. 10-4. Okay, 10-1. Okay, here's this. I never bought a Castle Grayskull, which I'd love to get one now, but this kind of reminded me of Castle Grayskull. It was at the grocery store. I thought, man, I gotta get that. It's so cool. No, it doesn't work. It worked in the store. Try me. Shit. Come on, man. This item lights up. Maybe it lit. Oh my God. Hecho in China. Fabrique in China. Made in China. Well, you do a very good job, man. Glows with black light. I guess the battery's bad. Oh, wait. Oh, it has an on and off switch. So, okay. Sorry. I'm not that smart, as you probably know. How about that? That'll be my Castle Grayskull, because I missed out on the Castle Grayskull. All right. Look at that, man. Do I really slump like that? Okay. Let me try. It still looks weird, doesn't it? Man. No wonder I could never get a date in high school. I don't stand up straight. I'll try to walk straight, man. I can't. My God. So anyway, I don't know what else I can do to entertain you. Oh, well, I need to go up and organize comics upstairs, which would be highly entertaining to some of you comic book type people. But here's some food, Drew. How about that? Well, oh, wait, what else stuff from my childhood's been messed up? Mad Magazine? Almost everybody that... I guess Sergio Aragonis is the only guy left from the Mad crew, the usual gang of idiots. But Mad exists now only as... comes out occasionally, has a couple of pages of new material. It's a shadow of what it was. EC Comics isn't something from my childhood, but when I was a kid, I loved the reprints of EC, and now someone bought the rights to the name EC, and they're cranking out these crappy comics, and there's just everything's been ruined. But I've discovered some new musical artists that I'm liking. Let's see. Because I saw that the band the Suffragettes is touring, and they've got someone playing with her named Bethlehem Shalom. And I thought, who's that? It must be someone similar to their style of music. And they're a female surf rock 1960s style, like the Ventures, like a female Ventures, basically. I thought, well, who's Bethlehem Shalom? I look her up on YouTube, and she does this crazy 1960s style girl group kind of sound, and kind of like what was the name of the girl with the big hair and the eye makeup that died? For some reason, her name's not coming to me right now, but like a cleaner version of that. Uh, um, New details. Shooter's dad details what happened before the attack. Let's see.
All right, we're learning shocking new details about the trans school shooter in Minneapolis, what police found at the home, and what the gunman's dad said happened shortly before the attack. Fox's Brooke Taylor has been digging into this story, and she joins us live from Minneapolis. Brooke.
Hi, Jason. Well, we're now learning from police that they have spoken with the shooter's mother after initially saying that they couldn't get into touch with her and that she hasn't been cooperating. It's not clear exactly what that conversation entailed, but I have learned that she decided to hire a criminal defense attorney. I spoke to that criminal defense attorney. I asked why his client hired him. He told me, quote, she is completely distraught about the situation and has no culpability. Now, police have not said whether any family members potentially face charges.
That's wild.
A new search warrant, meanwhile, reveals
the mother wants defense. Oh, well, enough of that. Here's one that says, Peacemaker proves James Gunn has not changed. See, I'm not the only one.
James Gunn has not changed. He's been the same person the entire time throughout his filmography, yet people want to give him this like weird pass, like, oh, he is someone who can do multiple different things, when that's never been the case.
I think that his style of humor hasn't aged especially well. I think that it's a style of humor that Hollywood has largely moved on from. And look, he almost missed the boat. Like, had he done Peacemaker before The Boys, people probably would have been more into it. But the numbers for Peacemaker have never been phenomenal.
Yeah, so I'm not the only person thinking that. See these videos that you can find on YouTube with this AI futuristic stuff? To me, that looks better than the Fantastic Four movie. That's what the Fantastic Four movie was trying to do, is create this retro style, what the future would look like from the point. That is more what I would, this kind of video, let's fast forward through it. You got hours and hours of this on YouTube. To me, that's since Hollywood can't make any decent movies, might as well just create your own stuff with AI, because AI is going to kill us all anyway. So might as well just let it entertain us before it exterminates us all. And since there's very little good music coming out today, at least not that I've been able to discover, I've just been creating my own music with AI, and now I'm DJing a fake radio station with it, and now I'm starting to get more views on my radio show. So, in fact, I think I'm getting more views than my videos where I just sit here talking, which is good, because that's what I'd rather be doing, is the radio show. And well, I'll do a video before the Labor Day weekend's over where I'm up in the comic book attic, and we'll that will entertain some of the audience. But my audience is kind of dying off. I don't have that many people watching, and it doesn't look like I'm ever going to really grow as a channel, so I'll keep going, but I don't have any. I used to think someday I'm going to be able to make money from this YouTube thing. No. But I devoted so many hours to it, ridiculous number of hours doing live streams and stuff. It was becoming a job. It was like a job that I didn't get paid for it. And I just as soon talk to my friends on the phone. And so anyway, I think it's time for my boot heels to be worn. I think I'll take a little Drew the dog here on a walk. Unless you guys want to go. You guys want to go on the walk? Let's see. Let's let's do it, man. Drew, what are you thinking? I'm thinking it's time to go on a walk, man. See what the weather's like. Maybe it's supposed to get some rain. We haven't had rain. It seems like it's been weeks and weeks. Yeah, so the Fantastic Four movie, if you've never read a Fantastic Four comic, it probably would come across as pretty cool. There's enough probably of the Galactus trilogy that, damn, this cat, Callie the cat likes to put presents inside my shoe. She put a thumbtack into my shoe, man. She doesn't know any better. There's something else in my shoe. She comes and drops things into the shoe. A few weeks ago, she dropped this broken Frankenstein hand into my shoe. She'll drop rubber bands into my shoe. It's like a mental asylum around here. Okay, got to switch my glasses to the sunglasses. Is it 9 o'clock? It's almost 8 o'clock. I started about 6:15, I think. Okay, I don't know. Is this the future of cinema? This AI stuff? If they could sustain this look throughout a whole movie, to me it would be just like looking at one of those 1920s beautiful paintings, or you could bring Richard Corbin to his style of art to life. You can do all kinds of neat things, but let's first of all turn off some of these lights that are on only because of you guys. So, all right, we're going to go on a walk. Come on, Drew. We're heading out to the great outdoors. Come on, Drew. Let's go. Drew. Let's go. Come on. Well, I'll see you guys later on.